Ready?
Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 26-6, and we are your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
And every week we listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. We just pick a topic, we get into it, we have some fun, and today is a very special Patreon exclusive episode where we, if you're a Patreon member, then we record the show live for you. I'm pointing at my camera.
Or with you. We do it with you.
No, we do it for you.
And with, I mean, it's part of the fun.
This feed from the webcam on Pernell's new laptop. Pernell, are you using... Pernell, why don't you use your new laptop, Pernell?
I used it for the conference call earlier, then I immediately switched back for this. I don't understand myself.
Okay, look, guess what? You're if you don't use it, it's on you. It's gonna get old no matter what. It's not like you're putting miles on it. I use it.
I've been using it for Steam. Like if I get a game right now, if I get a game review for Steam, there's no sweat off my back because it can run it. I am not scared to play games on Steam anymore, which is a bad thing because that means that
you're trying
now
to
I want to buy games on Steam.
Podcast work.
No, I'm just lazy and haven't set everything up. Just I don't know what it's like. You think the laptop's gonna be any different from when I buy sneakers or pants or
I'm
a house?
Gonna get on you about that though.
I bought this new house, but I won't leave my apartment because I just don't want to get the house dirty.
But anyway, so we should say that for these Patreon episodes, we ask for track suggestions from our listeners and from our Patreon members. And if you also send in a testimonial about the track, like a couple of words or a paragraph or whatever about the music, we will play the music and read it out on the show. We always do appreciate that. Sometimes it takes up the whole episode of suggestions. Sometimes it doesn't. But we have a couple other things. What's up?
I was say, the one thing I like about that also is not just, it's almost like a double fold of benefit. Like on one hand, as a listener, I'm like, hey, cool, my song's getting played on the show. But on the other hand, it's also kind of cool to get songs from listeners because like we have our own repertoire of like, our own, history of games that we played, but there's so many games and not enough time. So sometimes it's nice to have someone else come and say, hey, by the way, if you never played this game, you really need to because here's da-da-da-da-da, and here's a great track from it that fits the topic. And I've actually picked up a few games because of track submissions to the show, and that's what I like. So it's like, yeah, you should do that.
You should pick all of the music. All right, so I want to give a quick shout out to Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy, because he did a massive update of his personal VGM collection, because he's been at this video game music, essentially preservation. There's the chat room going on, and I could have sworn that I've taken off the filters, but someone typed the word "but," and then it just turned itself off. So I got to keep that rolling. But no, Ed Wilson he's been a big part of the video game music preservation crew for a long time, like recording and collecting, and he's made a lot of his collection available online to some people, and a lot of that music is now available on our YouTube stream, youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. It's a 24/7 classic 8-bit and 16-bit station. It's fantastic. We have Chris Murray is in the chat. Hello, Chris. Good to see you.
See, imagine if I could get Twitch to be as active as this chat stream.
I know.
That would be great. I'm just like...
Yeah, also because of talking about Twitch, I want to say that, oh wow, that's what's causing the feedback. February 20th, I'm doing a charity stream on Twitch. So February 20th, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern, that is noon. I will be playing dance games for a number of hours, raising money for Project Hope and for the Delaware Center for Justice. So
you want justice? Dance for it.
Yeah, I gotta dance for it. So yeah, so check that out. I have a whole thing set up where you can do music requests. It's going to be very silly. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully I will be alive throughout the whole thing.
You'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
Worst case, Christy will come down with the defibrillator and get you right back up on your feet.
I'm gonna have a whole pizza while I play.
Mamma mia.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's trying out different curse words in the chat, and for some reason the word butt just did not make it through. But I'm saying it on the show. I think that's fun.
I think it's hilarious that of all the ones that got picked up, it was butt.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe
butt isn't even a swear word. That's the thing. It's just a word.
I thought I turned all that off. I don't get it. So yeah, I wanted to thank Ed Wilson. Ed Wilson's a great guy. He's a good friend. He is our podcast father. That's what he is.
So, what's been going on in the world of Rabala?
Oh man. Okay. Well, last week last week I was sick, or I was coming off being sick, and it was awful. This week I'm feeling a lot better, but it is like 20 degrees outside. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, apparently snow's on the way, so looking forward to that, as says the weatherman.
Oh, someone found a word. It was that one. It was the P.
Bonk.
And there's another one.
But you're going to run through the whole thing.
We're going to have to do this while the music is playing. But no, it's been pretty good. I feel like I've had a lot of energy again since being sick. And actually, it's something about getting like that negative COVID test after being sick makes you feel a lot better afterwards. Like I can do anything. So yeah, I made pizza on Sunday. I've been working on a new game. I'm making a puzzle game, and that's coming along really well. I finished some like really hard logic today. Some really difficult parts of the code today. I'm really proud of that. Yeah, I might show it off later. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's working, and I think you might like it, Brunel.
I'm going to win.
You're gonna
whatever it is, I'm going to win.
You're going to buy it.
That's the best part. It's going to be such a good game. You're not even going to ask for a friendship discount. You're just going to buy the game.
What about you, Brunel? What about you?
Life has been interestingly tumultuous, but I persevere. Like basically work has been frantic, social life frantic, love life frantic. Well, not so much frantic, it's just like frustrating. All three of those things have been frustrating, but games have been great, and getting outside air has been great. So I've been putting that stuff to use. I am kicking myself for missing the big GameStop cut, because I would have paid off a student loan with that, admittedly knowing that, you know, it's not as simple as like, oh, here's some investment, I should do that. But I still look at it in lamentation, like I could have paid it all off. I could have been good. It could have been gold. But, you know, I digress. No stock options for this old man. I am playing Ys 9, though, which is great. I'm getting to review that, thankfully. So I think it's kind of funny that I might beat Ys 9 before beating Ys 8.
That's how it goes with these Ys games, right? They're so long and there's so many of them. You got to play the one that you are gonna finish.
Yeah, and this one's got me right now. Though I am regretting not putting it on nightmare mode, because Ys 8 made me punk out. I put it on hard mode, and I'm regretting it because now the game feels too easy. And yet, if I switch it to nightmare mode, I won't get any trophies for it or whatever. So I was like, well, now what the heck is the point? So I'm like kind of struggling with that decision, but the game is still fun.
I'm playing Persona 5 again. I played a whole bunch over the weekend, and I'm not up to the 4th palace yet, but I saw what you were talking about with the shop with the cafe owner. Mm-hmm. So yeah, all that's happening. It's very long story unfolding.
It's a good story.
Yeah, it's very, very good. I was getting a little what's the word? Impatient for it to continue.
Impatient child, do you hear me? Yeah.
But then, what else? I've been watching Star Trek Discovery for the first time, and that's probably, it might be my favorite Star Trek show right now, out of all the series. I love it. It's so good. And, somebody typed Betty White into the chat saying they would type wholesome things. And there's a fantastic Betty White documentary on Netflix that I watched just about her career. It's fantastic. It's so good. She is so funny and so old. Yeah.
She's coming up on it.
Oh, yeah. She's like 98, 97. It's very old. Very, very old. Yes, I did enjoy Picard. I think that of all of the series, if you got to rank them, it's probably Discovery, Lower Decks, seriously, Lower Decks, maybe Next Generation, and then...
What about Upper Decks?
DS9 Voyager. Oh, everyone knows the Upper Decks. That's Next Generation. They're all on the bridge doing their thing, but Lower Decks, the guys who are making the ship run, they're the ones making it work. They're holding down shifts. Yeah, oh god, it's Lower Decks is funny, and it's so good. It's still so Star Trek. it's so Star Trek, but it's got all this humor that you would want in a show. And it's like, it just makes it more real. Picard was good. I forgot to put Picard on my list. I really enjoyed Picard. But I think it was just because I wanted to get back to see those characters again. Voyager, I loved Voyager up until about season 5, and then I kind of lost interest.
Just set it down.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's a Star. It's
you can't
a Star
like
Trek life.
You can't like everything. Can't like everything. Next gen's fantastic.
Well, it could be me. I don't like Star Wars or Star Trek. No, I just kind of stay away from both of them.
I will say the people who
I'm the worst nerd.
Crazy about Next Generation, I am too. A lot of them really hate Picard, and if you didn't like Picard, then you're not going to like Discovery, because it is darker. There's curse words in it. The curse words you can't type into my chat room. But I like that it's darker. I like that they're exploring these things, you know.
Would you say that there's a level of darkness that makes you feel rather anxious about anything?
I would say in Picard I felt anxious about some things, about Borg and about artificial intelligence. But there's a lot of things to feel anxious today. I'm going to say some of the music I'm not going to let run all the way through, because I'm going to go crazy if we do.
That's right. It's like when the track is so anxiety ridden, and inducing that you can't even listen to the entire thing.
Oh, someone.
I don't know what Lex is.
Lex is like an old school sci-fi show. Wow,
Bedroth mentioned that Purnell's all about Lex when it comes to space shows.
Yeah, you gotta look that one up. I remember it being like a darker version, but like really low budget. Oh man, I remember watching it when I was younger. I gotta check it out a little bit more. I refresh my memory. I don't know if it's on streaming anywhere. Okay, I gotta stop talking about TV shows. We're listening to music. Today is all about anxiety, right? Because we need more of that. I mean,
That's right.
2020 was a cakewalk. So 2021 is gonna be all over. It's gonna be crazy.
I gotta say though, like, anxiety in life is not fun. It's stressful, annoying, and just depressing. But I always felt like anxiety in video games is great. Like, it gets your heart pumping. It makes you feel compelled to get something done as quickly as and maybe as inefficiently as possible.
You are obsessed.
Just get it done.
You are obsessed with that feeling in these games where it's like, oh man, something's chasing me and now I gotta work real fast.
That's right. It's I love it. Like, I don't even know how I even got into that style of game, but if I could have an entire game that was nothing but chase scenes, I don't know how effective it would be, so I'd probably get too used to it, but I'd love to try. Like, if every stage in the game was like the chase levels from Kid Chameleon, sold! Give them to me.
Yeah.
Want them.
Anyway, so I'm going to kick off the show with a track from Ed Wilson that we had just talked about. How about that? How do you think? What do you say about that?
I guess it's okay.
I think it's all right.
That's okay, I suppose.
Well, I picked this track because he knows what I like. This is music from Ridge Racer 1.
Ridge Racer
for the Sony PlayStation, composed by Shinji Hosoe. This is the music for the race results, and he wrote a testimonial. We'll read that when we come back from the music. And we're back. Oh my God, we're back. We are so very much back. I want to turn this track down.
I am now officially happy that this was the chosen topic for the Patreon episode.
That was something else. That was the race results music from Ridge Racer for the Sony PlayStation, composed by Shinji Hosoe. And I know Shinji Hosoe does some like really good hardcore and jungle tracks, but this is something else. This is the race results. This is the race is finished. And now you're just like, oh, what place did I get? What was my time? Was it better than the last time? Like, you're supposed to be, like, hanging out, like, chilling at the club.
Whoa. This is the equivalent of, like, taking the SATs at school, and then everybody has to walk up to the board at the end of the day to see how they measured up against the rest of the class. So you're finishing the race, you're getting out of your car, and now you're walking up to the tally board, like, where did I place? Where did I place? No, the whole time, you're like, your heart's beating, and then you place in 16th. So it's like, why the heck did I even go to the board in the first place? I wasn't even in the running.
I'll say, though, the first half of this track, I was really into it. I was super digging it. Then the second half was just repeating itself. I guess it's supposed to repeat itself, but it's too repetitive. But the first part was crazy cool.
I feel like a lot of like tracks have a knack for pulling that off, like as far as these things go, because like it needs to be a repetitive beat that's very quick and it doesn't let up, so that you're constantly in a state of anxiety. It's like, what's next?
So Ed wrote a testimonial. He says, okay, aside from the Ridge Racer soundtrack being one of the greatest influences of my musical tastes in the 90s and beyond, Shinji Hosoe's redonkulous race results music remains one of the most intense pieces of video game music that I've ever heard. It's got elements of trance, hardcore, and house, and blends them all in a way that makes you think more likely to mosh to it than dance. I spent years looking for more music like this and came up empty until I discovered Atari Teenage Riot in the early 2000s. Oh man, what an absolutely bizarre reward for getting first place in a racing game. So yeah, in high school, I think it was senior year, it was definitely senior year, some friends of mine went to a KMFDM concert. And yeah, we were super into them. I didn't know they were playing. I was probably left out because I wasn't going to go anyway. But they all went to a KMFDM concert, but they came back and all they could talk about was the opening act, which was Atari Teenage Riot. And they were obsessed with ATR. And they gave me, someone dubbed a tape for me so I could hear it. And I fell in love with it. Like, teenaged, high school, all I wants to listen to is super hyper aggressive, fast techno music. And there was nothing else like it.
That's how you get things done.
So cool. And I actually went back and listened to it not too long ago. And some of it is still really fun to listen to. It's just a little aggressive for my tastes now. But I thought that maybe it would be too moody or too, like I'd be too old for it. But no, it's still really good. So old stuff. Old Atari Teenage Riot. Look it up. It's pretty cool.
I definitely I'm one of the people that stands by the belief that you never get too old for music. It's music. It is like, I get that your musical taste can change and shift and ebb and flow, but you don't really get too old for it. It just, your taste might shift.
Yeah.
But by the same token, you come back and listen to it like, this is still good.
I think that's a good distinction. I mean, the way, as it gets phrased that way, it sounds a little derogatory. But the reality is that as I've gotten older, I don't like a lot of the moodier, darker stuff anymore. And I have to be really in the mood for it, and I'm not usually anymore.
That I get. Yeah. I've been there too, which is where like the retro dig ups come in every once in a while. But then for the most part, I'm still jamming out to Biss, and Biss was like classic, poppy, Euro poppy stuff. So it's like, there it is, cuddlecore. I'm an old man. I'm still rocking cuddlecore. No shame.
Yeah,
I digress.
I just love the term cuddlecore.
Well, it's one of the best genres. It makes you feel so good, but it's also so light and fluffy. You're not going to hear that at a club and have people go, that's a cool DJ. That guy can rock.
That DJ loves me, and he wants to hug.
He wants a hug. That's what it means.
All right, let's go into. Oh man, the last Rican just keeps calling.
I got this. Just keep rolling.
He keeps calling you out in this chat room.
I got it. Keep going.
All right. That's okay. All right. What's your next track? Are you playing? I was talking. Is that what's happening?
No, I was basically about to say that my next track comes from a guy who loves to talk a whole lot of smack.
Oh, I see.
For a game that I already even answered his response. Basically, he's challenging me to Tetris, and I responded to him already by saying, like, it's for a game that I haven't even started playing yet. If he wants to break out Puyo Puyo Tetris 1 and make a time, I'll play with him. I never outright claim to be a master at Tetris, but it doesn't mean I'm going to shirk a challenge. I'm willing to try, and heaven forbid if I do somehow win, I'm going to let everybody and their mom know that you talk smack and lost. That's the goal here. But I digress. I'm also picking your track that you submitted for the show, which happens to be the Death Egg robot theme from the game Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis, composed by Masato Nakaumra.
That's right. You won't say that you're better than him now, but you will say to everybody in the world that you're better than him after you've defeated him.
So welcome back. You're listening to the Death Egg robot theme from the game Sonic the Hedgehog Dose, submitted by The Last Weekend for the Sega Genesis, composed by Masato Nakaumra. So yeah, I feel like most people that listen to this immediately had flashbacks of exactly what this track induces in a person, and why it does it for that matter. But we can talk about that in a minute anyway, but for now, though, I will read the magnanimous testimonial that was submitted by the one, the only, the braggart, The Last Weekend. Anytime I hear this track, my mind goes back to the 8-year-old me. It's a Friday night. I've finally gotten to the last stage. Metal Sonic beaten easy. Then Robotnik hops in this Gorom thing, and this music kicks in. I'm sitting there thinking, where in the heck do I hit this thing at? To make matters worse, my younger brother David was watching, waiting for me to lose all my lives. Probably wanted to get another turn, get his own turn in. I had burned all of my continues trying to beat the boss of the Sky Fortress area, and I only had 7 lives left total. By the time I finally figured out a way to hit him and keep my rings, my nerves were so shot from the pressure of not wanting to give up the controller and having to start all the way from the beginning. I didn't beat Dr. Robotnik that night. The next night, however, David beat the final boss after learning from my mistakes. So you were a big brother. You did your job, man. You taught him. You gave him guidance. I would eventually beat the game myself, but this music always makes me think back to that pressure and anxiety. It's amazing too, because like the boss himself, he didn't look very impressive, but the way that he moved and how high you had to jump to hit him in the sweet spot during the window they gave you was a huge pain in the butt. And every time you hit him, you like got rocketed backwards. And if he hit you, hope your sweet Bippy you kept one ring from falling off the screen, because that was probably the only way you were going to cheese through the ending of the fight. This is a proper anxiety-inducing track for a proper anxiety-inducing boss battle. This boss sucks. It doesn't help also that Sonic 2 is probably the longest of the Sonic games in my opinion, except for maybe Sonic and Knuckles. I never played the entirety of Sonic and Knuckles with the Sonic 3 add-on, but this game is lengthy. So to get to Dr. Robotnik, you're already tired, and he's not an easy boss. It's rough, man. It's just rough.
Yeah, this is the one I probably put the most amount of time into as when I was younger, because I would just play it non-stop, especially when I was like homesick or something. I would just play it over and over and over again. And yeah, it would take a good afternoon or most of the day just to finish Sonic 2. It's a long, even if you know where everything is and what to do, it's a very long title. And you're right, it's almost like it's an endurance race to get to the end of this thing.
And then you learn about the stage select, and all you do is go to the Mystic Cave or Metropolis zones and then turn the game off.
I would waste so much time in the Metropolis zone trying to get 1-ups through doing like the little what's it called, the roulette wheel, or no, the
what's it? The roulette was
the slot machine. The slot machine. Yeah, the slot machine.
Slot was casino night, but Metropolis zone was an annoying one. That was the one that had it had a pistons and a lot of like gated cylinders. And it was the only stage in the game that had 3 acts.
I was going to say, yeah, that was the only one that was 3. Everything else was 2. The second one, that was the one where at the very end you jumped on Tails' plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was so cool. That's also some of my favorite music from the game. I love that song.
Before people were questioning why does Sonic drive a car, it's like, well, Tails can fly, and yet here he is flying a plane. What's up with that?
Well,
There's an actual reason for it, of course, but
sometimes they get
people never
tired,
questioned
man.
it.
Like they get tired.
I just thought it was funny that, yeah, they get tired, exactly. Like, I always thought funny, people was like, why does Sonic drive a car? Like, maybe he doesn't feel like running right now. Maybe he wants to drive. Why does Sonic fly? Why does Tails fly a plane? He has 2 tails. He can fly. Maybe he gets tired. Takes a lot of work to spin 2 tails like that. And he's not eating enough carbs, clearly, so that's a problem. Poor Tails. All he wants to do is fly, as his song says.
Oh, what's the song? What's the song say?
Tails wants to fly high.
That's
believes in himself. And that's a prime example. That could be a topic for the show in the future too. Songs that you heard that are cheesy as all get out, and yet you still couldn't help but to smile at them. And that is a prime candidate for that.
And why are they all from Sonic 3D games? That's why.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Why are they all Crush 40
They're all
tracks?
from there, yeah. All right, so our next track is coming from the one like Bedroth. This is Edison Family and the Tentacle theme from Maniac Mansion for the NES, composed by George Sanger. And we're back. You're listening to the Edison Family and Tentacle theme from Maniac Mansion for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This one's composed by George Sanger, a.k.a. The Fat Man.
Jake and the Fat Man?
He had a team he worked with. I think they had a rock group they played together. I don't know all the specifics. He is definitely a character. But in a very specific sound. Like, he wanted to make NES music that sounded like rock and roll, you know? And there's not a lot of dynamics to this track. It's all very full on, heavy, but there's very, very cool melodies going on here. And I really love the pitch bending that's happening between all the notes. Now, I will say, and I'll give it to you, as soon as he started playing it, he was like, this sounds like the Rocketeer. Did you do the Rocketeer? And you were right. He did the Rocketeer.
Yes, the NES Rocketeer game. Bloop, 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 bloop. It's a good jam, man.
Yeah, really, really specific song. Oh, Lame Genie has an epic cover of this song on the channel. I do love Lame Genie.
So of the Rocketeer or of the Maniac Mansion track?
I think Maniac Mansion. So, all right, so we're going to get into Bedroth's testimonial. Bedroth would like to say, my first thought when I saw this topic was, how am I going to find anything that's anxious and crazy but also nice to listen to? That's a good point. But then I remembered this tune. When you're playing Maniac Mansion, there's one song among all of the great music that really makes an impact whenever you hear it. Whether you're running away from them down the stairs or trying to steal a hamster to microwave it, or just playing around on it. Yeah, I think you can do that, or I think maybe in certain versions of the game, you're not able to. They removed the option to microwave the hamster. Or just playing around on the piano when they barge in. This music always serves to let you know that the Edison family is always lurking nearby. I mean, it's their mansion after all. But then,
what was it? Weird Ed was the guy's name?
I couldn't tell you. But then he says, but then when you hear it years later, you realize that they always caught you before you got to the really epic parts of the song. As anxiety-inducing as it is in-game, and as crazy as some of those looks are, it's still a fantastic tune. I agree. And it really, it develops. It gets interesting, There's movements to this song, which I really appreciate.
This is a question I want to pose to, both the listeners and also the people in the chat, because now I'm curious. So, I mentioned earlier, and I'm not sure if it was off record or not, but I missed out on Maniac Mansion back in the day. I wasn't into adventure games at the time, and of course that has changed as I got older, but after I got older, it was an older game, and it just didn't go back. So the two questions become, one, do you think Maniac Mansion holds up in the present day as a new player? And two, what do you think of some of the more recent, mostly Switch releases that are adventure games, and how, as far as being similar to how Maniac Mansion plays, like the Coma or the Long Reach, games like that, or the Way Remastered even. Now, that's more kind of like a Prince of Persia style or flashback type game, but still. How do those games measure up in comparison to something like Maniac Mansion? Are they equivalent in the experience, though even if they may not be as good? I'm curious what you guys think.
Yeah, it might be something to explore ourselves. I mean, I've never played it. Maybe there's something we can play together sometime. That'd be kind of fun.
Maniac Mansion?
Yeah, why not?
That could be fun. We got to find the one with the hamster, though.
Maybe. I'm sure there's a ROM out there that we could find for that. But since neither of us have played it before, it might be kind of cool to experience that anew.
That would be, that would be fun to try.
Without guides. No guides.
Oh, well, we're correction. Without guides. But at the same time, I'm cool with having one handy if I get stuck for 3 hours. I'm just walking in circles, and this isn't an action game, so it gets boring.
No, we'll trade off. We'll trade off controllers. It'll be okay.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good then.
I'll say, it's my turn, Purnell. Why did you ever give me
No! My turn forever. Forever.
You lost your chance. You lost your chance when you put that hamster in the microwave.
That's right. That was a OSHA. That was a violation of ethics and everything. Anyway, don't microwave hamsters, but always have the option. But then don't use it because you're a good person.
All right, Purnell, what's your next pick?
All right. My next track is going to come from Kung Fu Carlito with his rendition of No Remorse from a game I've honestly never heard of. So talk about game I'm learning about on the show. Ketsui Kizuna Jigokutachi, one of those. Composed by Manabu Namiki. Take two on the attempt to say this ridiculously wacky name for my take This track is called No Remorse from the game Ketsui, Kizuna, Jigokutachi. Bam!
Got it.
Suckers!
That's good. That was good.
That's right.
For a second there, I thought you were just speaking fluent Japanese. Couldn't believe it.
That's right. I spent a lot of time in Japan between breaks, during the break. Composed by Manabu Namiki and submitted by Kung Fu Carlito. This track was a last minute submission on his part, and I'm glad he made it because, I want to hear this. And I'm glad I'm hearing it because if he missed the show, I'd have been sad that this didn't get played on it because this fits to the letter. It was like the quote, the last Rican is death metal, but then I slapped on DJ because it sounds like a death metal DJ's at work on this one.
Yeah.
It's legit. But let's read this bad boy's testimonial, shall we? Kung Fu Carlito says, my immediate reaction to anxiety when it comes to video games is glorious bullet hell. Well said, sir. And at the top of that treacherous mountain lies Cave and their beautiful nightmares of pink and blue death. The track I'm picking for this theme is No Remorse, the true final boss theme from Ketsui, Kizuna, Jigokutachi, composed by Manabu Namiki and erased for the Xbox 360 as a port. In order to attempt this boss, called Doom, you have to make it through the game twice. Oh, some Ghosts and Goblins love here. One normal run and an extra loop on harder difficulty. Even then, you have to take him out in one credit, or else you're booted back to play through the entire game, battered and bruised as you recompose your psyche to try again. Screw
that. Is classic Cave. Classic Cave.
The bullet patterns are insane and are a mix of memorization and reaction. Hope this music pushes you to overcome the barriers in your life today and get you to the point where you can enter those initials into the halls of history.
Oh, that's a great testimonial.
Yes, it is.
That is all.
And he's a man.
That is all Cave. All about rewarding, the memorization and the endurance to play through the same game in multiple loops. Because for a lot of their games, even Dudanpachi and Mushihime Sama Futari, they're all you play through it once and you play through it again and you play through it again, and there's different bosses that get unlocked as you play.
Actually full-on bosses or just the same bosses with new bullet patterns?
No, full-on new bosses.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, stuff you wouldn't see the first time unless you finished it with one credit, which already on its own is quite an achievement.
And I am apparently writing down this band because Stephen Miller says, if you like this track, you should check out Bloodstained Child, a Japanese EDM metal band. Oh. I wrote that down because I did like this song, and I am going to check out Bloodstained Child. Here's the hoping I love them, and also that I don't stain the walls with blood out of stress. It'll be interesting, but I look forward to checking it out. It's also funny too. I didn't get to play a lot of cave shooters over the years. If anything, I didn't get really into them until I met you. But the one that stands out that I actually ended up purchasing was Death Smiles, and that one didn't actually have this loop style. They just pretty much hit you with something that I later learned was a regular thing for them called Black Label, where you could just kind of tell it what difficulty level you wanted it to be, and it would just hit you with it immediately. I want to be level 99, and it's well, everything explodes and makes more bullets, so everything's a bullet.
Yeah, if I remember, Death Smiles had more difficulty scaling that you could really change. It was a much more it wasn't just hard, and harder and hardest, and then bullet hell or Danmaki.
Exactly.
This was it had more of a range. But I remember seeing Death Smiles it was all over stores when it came out, which I always thought was really interesting because I
think that was their attempt at pushing it.
Yeah, it was such a niche. It's a niche type of game. I remember when I first saw the cover of it, I'm like, oh, this is some kind of weird JRPG Pernell's gonna love. But then it turned out to be a bullet hell shooter, but horizontal instead of vertical. So
that Pernell really loved.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's super hard, but it's really neat.
So you were half right.
Okay,
it's really difficult.
All right, so this next track is one that I picked. Yeah, because we got them all. We got all the other ones picked out. So this next one.
Also, I want to say one thing that came up in the chat that I thought was interesting and might be prevalent to people outside too. Bedroth goes, nah, I'm out. I can barely manage Gradius, and R-type bullet hell will stress me the bullet hell out. And my response to that is why you end up playing bullet hell games that don't give you limited lives, or if they do, they give you infinite continues, because the idea is that you play to kind of you know you're not going to really do well. And you know this from memory when we used to play that one game where the guy goes, Spark Bumper! Geico Wing. Like, you just die constantly. It's like a constant stream of death. But you can keep going until you win. You might have like a 900 death counter, but you see the end. And as you keep playing it, you either get better or you just still have fun with the amount of times you die because the game still ends up being cool, just to see what cool dodges you can pull off.
Yeah, I tend to get in the zone too. That's why I didn't pick any shooters for this episode, because like when I play them to sort of like zone out and chill. Like I play like Enter the Gungeon just to like kind of relax. Mm-hmm. So, but that's different for everybody though, because from the outside looking in, it's just terrifying. But otherwise, it's not.
That's what makes it more impressive looking. It's like, man, look at the heck Rob's doing. You're like, so I was saying to Mabel, I says, yo, man, watch me play this game. But you're you're barely playing it.
That's not saying something about my skill. It's just something like, I'm not good. I'm enjoying myself. All right, so this next track is one I picked. This is from the game Rez. Pernell, what do you know about Rez?
I know Rez is spelled with 3 letters.
Yeah.
Ending with the last letter of the alphabet.
This is Area 4, Rock is Sponge. And the artist is Joujouka. This one's for the Sega Dreamcast. It was on the PlayStation 2. It got a bunch of re-releases, even in VR, which I've never got a chance to try. So I've always wanted to. It seemed like the perfect place for it. But I picked this track specifically for the boss. So here we go. This is Rock is Sponge from Area 4 for Rez. And we're back. That is Rock is Sponge, Area 4 from the game Rez for the Sega Dreamcast and Sony PlayStation and a bunch of others, composed by Joujouka. And if you noticed, the track is much longer than what we played on the show. Again, it's a very, very long track, but I picked this track specifically for when the boss battle begins. And the boss battle is all about anxiety in this stage. This is like some of the boss battles in this game are pretty straightforward, just like, it's like target shooting, it's not too bad. But this one, the things are chasing you through tunnels, and yet you're constantly looking back and then running forward, and you can see like tentacles and like the arms of the thing kind of reaching up around you, and it's chasing you the whole time. And it's just, I remember when I first played this, it really, really like got in my head, and the music just gets crazier and crazier and builds and builds and builds. It's so cool. So yeah, that's the reason I picked this track, and that's the reason why we listened to this kind of like second half or third or fourth act of the music. It's very interesting. Whereas as a shooter, it's essentially on rails. You can't really move your character around, so I think that adds to the anxiety because you can't move. You can't truly escape what's happening. All you can do is shoot and kind of hold it back. Just hold it back.
That was a large part of why I couldn't quite get into it, to be honest. When I tried to play it, I was like, I wanted to be able to dodge things, but instead I was like, no, just blow stuff up. Like, I can't. I want to move. I want to get out. Feel the
to
groove.
that end, you got to play it like a rhythm game almost, because all the shots go in time with the music, and so you have to reload and shoot in time with the music. So I guess it's kind of like Osu now, right? Or Owinden, where like
I love Owinden.
It's all over the screen, but you got to do it. Prioritize the things coming at you first.
Oh, funny you mentioned that. Worth telling you, because I don't think I said this before. Remember how I mentioned that SML did that interview with the guy from Ichiga company, the guy did Hexagroove?
Yes.
I learned during that interview that he actually worked. He's one of the people that worked on Owinden in Japan.
Oh, no kidding.
Like he was on the team that did Owinden.
Wow.
And I was surprised. Like, holy crap, you made a great game. And I wish more people played it because it deserves all the love and then some. Owinden is a wonderful game. So good. Jeebus. But if you've never played it, you're like, what the heck are we talking about? Look up OSU, which is a fan version that you can play on PC. But otherwise, bust out a Nintendo DS. They're region free and import it. It's playable and is great. Or Elite Beat Agents, which is US.
Yeah, it's very, and the music they made for the original game, not the US game, which is full of licensed tracks. But I just love that it's all about these superhero cheerleaders, essentially, right? Helping people get through their day, overcome obstacles, and they cheer you on with music.
Yes. And the last stage of every game is always this insanely like planetary, endangering event. And then every character from all the songs in the game come together to fight the existential threat. It's such a good... It's fantastic. It's so good.
All right, Pernell, we are on to your final track, Pernell.
Unfortunately, this track is not from Owinden, but it's still very good. This track comes from listener and friend Chris Murray. I wonder if he's even still in the thread. I think he took off for the night.
Might have taken off.
But this comes from the game Hades, and the track title is The Bloodless, and it's composed by Darren Korb, like an orb of corn. It's great. Welcome back. You're listening to The Bloodless from the game Hades, composed by Darren Korb, like a corn orb. Get it? Composed by Chris Murray, or rather submitted by Chris Murray. And Oh boy, friggin' Hades. The game that everybody and their grandmother love to death right now. I like it too. Is all the rage. So it's nice to see a track finally make the show, and I'm glad to see that it came from a good friend. But what did our friend have to say about this track and for Hades? I've been playing a ton of Hades and wanted to share something from the game that's even pulled me away from finishing Trails of Cold Steel 4. All things considered, that is a big deal, because you played through the first 3. You're a man amongst men. The game is amazing. It takes the roguelike model to a whole new level. It scales well, it rewards you generously, but not too easily. And it scales the story in a way that even after well over 100 runs and 60 escapes, I am still unlocking new stuff and learning more about the stories contained within. I can't recommend it highly enough, and while a lot of the music isn't exactly what I'll sit and listen to out of the context, the entire vibe they create with the art, music, and voice acting is simply, truly fantastic. Yeah. I've been questioning that this whole time, like, how are people getting enough out of this to redo the entire game on multiple runs? And people won't tell me 100% what it is, but it's like, they just keep giving you more, man. You can't stop. And another thing worth noting is, like, before this episode, as in like maybe 2 hours before the episode, I saw an article that was saying that Hades is like the first roguelike game to entice people who hate roguelikes to play it and enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's a groundbreaker.
Everybody's talking about it, man. It's got me, and I like roguelike games, so it's got me interested in trying it. But I gotta play Persona 5. I gotta be focused.
Stick with it.
I gotta be
Stick
focused.
with it.
Yeah. Only.
You're on a positive. You didn't buy Royal, so there's like an extra dungeon or 2 that you're not going to have to deal with. So it'll be shorter.
So I saved some time, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But honestly, that's the hardest thing when it comes to games for me. Though I'm trying to get better. I'm even trying to keep track of games I beat this year for once. But focusing on one game and sticking it out. Even if I didn't do reviews, I'd have a problem with that, to be honest with you. I just suck at sitting down and playing one game. I've never been able to do it unless it's something that just grabs me.
It's got to be rare. Something really specific. Like every once in a while, something just gets a hold of you. And Persona 5 is one of those games. I think that one you're playing now, Omori, has really got you.
Yes, it does. And it's funny because it feels weird to say it this way, but I have to because it's 100% the truth. I honestly play over 100 new games a year. Probably 120 new games every year. So, I think that might factor into where that sense of mental burnout came from. Is that I can still respect and appreciate and see a good game. But I can also be like, I've played like a game like this and a game like that and a game like that. This is fun, but it's not pulling me in. It doesn't have enough of a hook that makes me want to play it over the thousands of others or whatever. And I think that's part of why I jump around a lot. So when a game makes me sit and focus, like Yuppie Psycho did, for example, it has something. Something I can't even explain what the something is, but it has something that makes me go, I need to see this bad boy through. It deserves the time. And most importantly, my brain will stick with it. ADHD doesn't pull me away. That's an amazing thing. So I can honestly say flat out for anybody who can like pick a game up like you do and play through it from beginning to end, that's something to appreciate. Like you keep doing that.
Yeah,
keep doing that.
Maybe it's because I'm not distracting myself. Like I'm not looking through the stores. I'm not looking online all the time at other games coming out. Although we talk every week, and you're always telling me stuff that you're playing, and I get interested in a lot of those things. But some games I'm just not going to finish. Like La Mulana, I don't think I'm going to finish that one.
I feel like that would be a fun one to play with you, even if you didn't finish it. To like actually have like that sit there, like if we were all at MAG, for example, like Kung Fu Carlito and Cameron and myself watching you play the game and being like, "Come on, Rob, let's talk him through it. Let's help him figure out the puzzles." And we're all like trying to solve them again.
Yeah, that'll be a group Twitch playthrough. Twitch plays Rob playing La Mulana.
Right, it would be a great time.
Everyone's yelling at me. Now I'm going to turn this crazy track down, and we're going to get into the part of the show called the bonus round.
Bonus round. And gonna get that bonus round.
Gonna get that bonus round. The bonus round is where we play covers and remixes on our theme, And our theme this week is just anxiousness and craziness, and the music in games that just put your teeth on edge. Is that a saying? I don't know if that's a saying.
Well, I don't want to think about it, because the idea of putting your teeth on edge is that thing that gangsters do to people that don't pay their bills.
Oh, I see. So we are going to listen to some music from one of my favorite games and one of your least favorite games. This is the Battletoads. And this is the music.
Not the pause theme.
No, this is the music from the Turbo Tunnel, which I think is some of the best music on the NES. I love this song, but it's also traditionally one of the parts of the game that people fail at and get very frustrated, and it gets faster and faster and faster. This stage is full of anxiety, but this music is rocking. This is from an arranged album that came out the end of last year, in December of 2020, called Battletoads Smash Hits. Music from David Wise and David Housden. It is remastered music from Battletoads, and then the second half of the disc, or the back half of the disc, is all arranged rock tracks composed by David Wise and arranged by David Housden. So we're going to listen to the Turbo Tunnel from Battletoads Smash Hits. We're back. That was the Turbo Tunnel from Battletoads Smash Hits. Again, that was just released in December of last year, 2020. And that was arranged by David Housden and composed by David Wise.
David Housden?
The David. I mean, if you're a guitar guy, maybe like you know who that is. I don't. I don't know, but it's really good. I love the it's like the last bit of the song, but it modulates. It's still the same like riff, but it modulates into these new chords or these new keys. It's really cool. So I really like this arrangement. I'm not usually a big rock guitar guy, but I really like this arrangement. It just takes the original song into really interesting places, but it still sounds like the original tune. Like this is
Are
what
you
the
more of a
original
rockabilly kind of guy?
I'm less of a rock guy and more of a smooth jazz on the beach kind of guy lately.
Rock a jazz?
Rockabye.
Jazzabilly?
You call me the hillbilly of jazz. Is my You're listening to Rob Nichols, the hillbilly of jazz.
Pardon me a moment while I drink from this jug with 3 X's on it.
It's all banjo smooth hits. It's like Kenny G with a banjo.
Honestly, that could be pretty legit right there.
Well, it actually might be. A banjo and an alto sax. I don't know.
I don't know. Somebody was determined if they could make that work. I mean, I've seen people pull some crazy mess off with musical instruments.
I would play that.
Someone take an
that board
automaton
game.
and make it sound sexy.
It was last year on my birthday before lockdown. You guys came over on my birthday, you and some other friends of mine, and we played the Kenny G board game. I think you were playing something else with Christy at the time, but I played the Kenny G board game with my friend Brad and his girlfriend, and it's all about helping Kenny G get through his day with jazz.
It's actually a nice theme. I did join up on that later, actually. I did experience it.
So you draw a card and it says like, oh no, his coffee's gone cold. But then you got to play other cards like skibidi-bop, da-boo-da-boop. And they're like extra points.
Musical sounds.
Yeah, they all have sounds on them and you got to play the right. It's cooperative. You got to cooperatively help Kenny G not lose his cool.
And it's kind of funny, like as far as like set collection games go, like it's not top lister if you got like, hundreds of games in your backlog or whatever.
But it's funny. It's funny.
It's fun. And if you don't have a lot of games, like if you're trying to get into the hobby, that is a excellent choice. Yeah. Like we had a lot of fun playing it actually.
Yeah, it's
if
good.
I were looking for new games like that, I'd have bought it. It's very easy to teach.
Yeah. All right, Pernell, what is your next pick?
So I was running behind like the Dickens, and also I don't think we got like another like bonus roundy type track for the episode. So I decided to cheat and use a track from my selections. Mm-hmm. And I think it fits primarily because this is the track that I've been listening to a lot, primarily at work. The backtrack on what Kung Fu Carlito said, how he uses anxiety music to push through events. I also do that. If I have a stressful thing I got to get through, I use anxiety music to help me get that energy to power through it. And this track comes from the game I mentioned earlier called Omori, composed by Clover and SeaLife, and the track is titled World's End Valentine. You're listening to World End Valentine from the game Omori, composed by Clover and SeaLife. This track plays in the game Omori, of course. It plays during a particularly interesting boss battle. And I was telling Rob on the break, hearing this track for the first time after it was suggested from like another entity entirely got me to look into the game and eventually buy it. Like, I thought even if the game ends up being bad, I want to hear more of this. So I bought the game. And I haven't been disappointed at all. But the way the game works is that it's a RPG where battles, I mean, you're basically playing in a place called Headspace. Essentially, you're playing a game, you're playing in someone's fantasy world, like a world inside of their head. And the way the battle system works is that the traits for characters are emotions. So there's happy, sad, and angry. I don't remember if I got this right. And also neutral. But what I don't remember is I got sad beats angry, angry beats sad, no, happy beats sad beats angry, and angry beats happy. And neutral is out of the loop. But you can actions can influence your emotions and determine what they end up being, whether for yourself or for others. And it's interesting. When you get to this boss, however, it's the first point in the game where you, at least for me, where you learn that your emotions go to higher levels. Like, they go beyond the basic level of, like, I'm happy. Because when you're fighting this boss, she's, like, really full of herself. And she comes into the battle neutral. Then she becomes happy, and you can't change her mood. Then she goes, like, ecstatic. And then she goes manic. And every time it happens, she gets more and more into her emotion. The screen gets more distorted to the point where you're like, oh crap. She's like smashing. She's like, I'm better than everybody. She's like got a mate. She's like smashing everybody with it. It's really interesting. And I loved playing it. I'm near the end of it now. The funny part about it is that this game is supposed to be, they consider it a horror RPG. And there's some dark elements to it, but I still don't know if I'd call it horror, but maybe the ending will change my mind there. But
it's just
it's a good game.
Because it's got those darker elements, they didn't know how to really categorize it, but that's awesome. This track has got me interested in the game now, or at least in the soundtrack. I'm looking at the soundtrack. It's got a ton of music composed for the game, like over 80 tracks at least. So I'm really
all bangers.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might download that, might buy that. But if you like what you hear on the bonus round, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to the artists' Bandcamps and SoundClouds and everywhere where you can go and buy this music and support these artists, because this is really good. All right, thank you for joining us on episode 26-6 of Rhythm and Pixels. This is our Patreon recording exclusive, but it's our Patreon live recorded episode. All about anxious tracks, anxious music that is frantic. And
I gotta say,
ending with some music. Shit. Yeah, we're ending with some music from Celeste, which is nothing but some really difficult, fast jumps and platforming. Hard stuff.
And it's worth noting, like, this chat for this live episode has been fantastic. Like, people have been engaging with each other. They've been engaged with the show. It's just been a constant stream of dialogue. Like, this is what I've always wanted these live stream chats to be like. I want everybody to come in, just interact with each other, have a good time, because we're all good people, and just kind of hang out and just feel good for like an hour or two. Just like, hey guys, what are you playing? How many times can we break the filter on the chat censor?
Yeah, when we first started the Patreon, like, this is like one of the first things that we did was like, let's have a live show, but do it once a month so that we're not killing ourselves trying to put this thing together. And it's just been a lot of fun. I really do enjoy doing it. I like interacting with people as we do the show, and it just creates a whole level of the show that we just never really get to do. Although we have been doing a lot of guests. We don't have any guests lined up for February so far. We might reach out to some past ones, but
there's a part of me that wants to shoot for the moon and try to get David Wise on the show.
I don't know. I mean, you might be interested, you might not be, but yeah, we'll see if we can get some big names on the show, like George Sanger, George Sanger.
No, we hate Steven Singer.
Oh wow, that's a local thing. George Sanger, the Fat Man. Let's see if we get him on the show. That'd be amazing, right?
only if he brings Jake along.
You're like, what's a podcast? Anyway, so I'm glad you enjoyed listening to the show. But if you'd like to get in contact with me or Pernell, if you have a track suggestion or a topic suggestion, or if you know a band that does video game covers, or if you're in a band that does video game covers, we'd love to hear all about it. Please send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
You can also get a full track listing from all of the episodes and access to all of our episodes and all the other cool stuff at the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
I'm actually planning on doing a big revamp of the website in the next month or so. I thought it was pretty cool with all of like the way it was graphically laid out, but it's a little busy, and I want to make it a little more clean and a little bit easier to listen to podcasts as soon as you get to the website. So I'll be making a big update to that soon.
That's how you know you're a creative. You're like the guys who run the Xbox interface.
I'm just
Xbox
constantly changing it.
UI. Yeah, like this is a very good interface. It works. Yeah, but it could be different.
It could be better. I can keep doing better. I know it's fun. I like changing things around. It's been the same for a while. If you want to check us out on Twitter or Instagram and Facebook, you just type in Rhythm and Pixels. It's all one word, and we'll come right up there. We also have a group in Facebook called Rhythm and Pixels Chat, and we have a Discord server if you want to hang out with us and hang out with some other people. We have channels for all sorts of stuff that you can talk about the podcast, not podcast stuff. You can promote your own show or promote your own Twitch, all on our Discord.
Chips.
That link is on the website on the top menu bar. You can get to the invite and just check it out there. We also have a channel on our Discord server for suggestions for our YouTube radio station, which is youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. And it's 24/7 video game music with, I updated the graphics so it's scrolling Sonic stages and brand new music from the Commodore 64 all the way to the Super Famicom. It's got some really good stuff. And if you'd like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. And at all levels of membership there, you get access to a monthly live stream like this one. You get access to a weekly prequel episode with me and Pernell hanging out and chatting and talking and all that. And then at other levels, you get shout outs at the end of every episode. So we like to shout out Frankly Zappa, Mike Myers, That Nick Walker, Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy, Mats Holmqvist, Davey Cakes, Justin Schneider from XVGM Radio. I said his full name. Sonic Medley.
Yes!
Taco, Harold Howard, Dave Taylor, Reinhard Selkova, Andreas Mielberg, Dan Loughton, Sleepy S'more, Steve Miller. How you doing? The Autistic Gamer 89, Cameron Worma, Christopher Shenstrom, Bobby Arson from One Up Funk, Wicked Sephiroth, Carlos Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast, Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version VGM podcast, and Brian Pitt. So thank you all so much for your continued support of our show. And don't forget, at the higher levels of membership, you get bonuses on the radio stream. If you want to give a shout out, if you have something you want to advertise or to support, or if you want to say it yourself, we'll record it and put it right on rotation on the radio stream. And that's always a cool thing to do. And I think that's all I've got. Pernell, what are you going to do tonight?
I'm not sure yet. Actually, I haven't figured it out. Like, I might go back to Omori. I might go back to Ease 9. Mm-hmm. I'm debating if I want to buy this game that just came out on the eShop that I'm sure will go on sale in like 3 weeks for $2, but I kind of want it now. That sort of plight.
Yeah.
I also may even just try to do some exercise, but I feel like I should just skip it today too, because quite frankly, like I said, the first thing I ate today was right before this episode, so I'm tired and I don't have calories, so weird thing. But all in all, though, I'm sure I'll do something I enjoy. That's the important part. What about you?
I'm going to bed, man.
I
was up early. I was up pretty early. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Also, fun fact. So, like, jokingly, Mike Myers said, I look forward to the episode when the first Rhythm and Pixels HD when Pernell has his new laptop. I'm like, you mean this laptop? The one up here that I just don't use. But make sure to get that sleep there, Rob, because you deserve it, and honestly, at least you put your sleep to good use.
Oh, my sleep to good use?
Yeah, like you wake up and live your life and do stuff. So
I do stuff.
He's like, I still good. I do stuff.
I do exercise in the morning, which is why I get up nice and early. Anyway, good night, everybody. You've been listening to Rhythm and Pixels. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm still Purnell.
Have a good night.
And remember, yes, life has its fair string of scenarios that could yield the anxiety factor in them. I do know that it is a very big issue for some folks. It's unfortunate. And some folks, it's still just an annoyance. But whether it's a major condition or it's an annoying condition, it's also still worth noting that anxiety is, while an unfortunate part of life, it is still a part of life. It's one of those things that we have to all kind of deal with in our day-to-day. If you're that kind of person who's lucky enough to never endure it, I envy the crap out of you, but I am not that guy. But I also try to remember that anxiety is a natural thing. It comes and it goes. There's the good times and the bad, but when the anxiety hits, it's worth knowing that anxiety isn't forever. It's not a permanent state. It's just the state of mind at the time. And your best, at least for me, the best bet is to try to, breathe, focus, acknowledge that you're in a moment, but it's a moment that will pass. So try your best to use that time to breathe and focus and just endure, push through, knowing that the other side is waiting for you, because bloody hell, it's just worth it in the end, because you're going to get to the other side. Why beat if you can anyway, why beat your body up in the journey if you don't have to?